Hello YouTube, hello YTPC, making another video. Anyway, this time of year where I live, the pollen is out of control, so I am sniffly. Sorry about that. I've had people comment about my sniffing. Anyway, I'm going to talk today about tobacco storage. It's another question that I see coming up all the time. Pardon me. Anyway, it's a question I see coming up all the time about how do I store tobacco and stuff. So I thought I would make a tobacco storage video. Now, how do you properly store tobacco? Well, in my opinion, and again, this video is nothing but my opinion. It's what works for me. All my videos are my opinions. So, I'm not looking to grow a YouTube channel, so I don't really care about any kind of response to this stuff. I'm just trying to help out, okay? And I've smoked a long time, and so this is what works for me, and I thought I would share in case it would help someone. Okay, first off, how do you properly store tobacco? That all depends. It depends, in my opinion, on what it is you're talking about. For example, this right here, Carter Hall. I think I actually found this pouch in a jacket pocket that I haven't worn in about 6 months, like a suit jacket pocket. And it was open, and the tobacco is still just exactly the way it was the day I opened it. This stuff, you can't really hurt it, I don't think. I buy this in the big tubs, and I buy it in the pouches. I tend to leave the tubs in the garage and just, pack a shot pipe or something with it and just smoke it. And I don't ever do anything other than leave it in the tub. I buy it in the pouches so I can carry it around. And I have moved tobacco out of the tub and into a pouch when I was out of pouches, to take with me. And that's all I do. I do not put this in any kind of hermetically sealed jar or mason jar or any of that stuff. It doesn't need it. Aging it doesn't do anything that I can tell. I've found, pouches of it before laying around that has probably been laying around for several years, and it doesn't seem to change much. So, Carter Hall, you don't do anything. Just smoke it. Next, tobacco in the tins. Now, this is a tin you will often see with like GL Peace or Cornell and Deal or something like that. This one's actually open, but it'll have a pull tab. As long as it's not open, this will last pretty much indefinitely. Okay? You don't really have to do anything. Once you open it though, it will kind of depend on what it is as to what you do with it, and I'll get into that in a minute. All right. These round tins like this, these coin-shaped tins, these, by and large, if they're not open, like this one's not open, will do fine also, in my experience. They seem to be fairly robust. So I just leave them like this until I'm ready to open it. And I do cellar them this way, and it seems to work fine. Now, on the other hand, these little square tins, now, this is the same tobacco, just two different shapes of tin. People have reported having problems with these. I never have, but I've heard that you can have problems, especially if they're old and especially if they're the kind of tins that will rust. Something like that, you probably want to go ahead and move it into something else. But otherwise, these should be fine also. These larger square tins like this, see the difference? These, I've never had problems with them either. Anyway, all right, so storing tobacco. First off, again, it depends on what it is. So, like this here. This normally comes in flake form, like this. And this is just something I bought in bulk. But it's these gigantic flakes. And when you first open one of these up, and it's the same tobacco, by the way. They're both Best Brown number 2. Anyway, when you first open these up, you'll see these big slices just kind of crammed in there. What I like to do is I like to take all the flakes out and rub them all out and put it back in the tin because it's a little bit moist. And this will stay like this for, I don't know, weeks probably. Now, I smoke a lot of this and I go through it. So I rub it out and put it back in the tin and just smoke it out of the tin. And when I first start out, I have to take the tobacco out of the tin and let it dry for a few minutes before I load it and smoke it because it's too wet. By the time I get to the bottom of this tin, I don't have to do anything. And that's how I do it. I don't put this in jars. I smoke it too quick for that. And the stuff I'm cellaring, I have left in the original stuff, the original packaging. And like this is like vacuum sealed and whatnot. This will last until I open it. You actually have to like tear this open. This has been sealed in here and it'll be fine. And I'll go through it too quickly anyways. Now, if I wanted to long-term store this stuff, I might do something different. And again, we'll get into that in just a minute. Okay. Moving on to what you want to do as far as longer term storage or tobacco that does not last as far as moisture content, or you open the tin and the stuff is already perfect as far as moisture, and so you don't want to leave it in the tin because it'll further dry out. This right here. Now, I've read reviews on this stuff and people claim that they've had it be wet. I've bought, I don't know how many of these plugs, lots, and they come out, in my experience, perfect. They're hard as a rock. I think softer plugs might be more, full of moisture. But this, I think they press it so densely that it pushes much of it out. Anyway, these are perfect. So as soon as I open it, I just drop it in there and that's it. And I just cut flakes from it periodically and rub them out and smoke it. So that's what you should do if you open up something that you like and you're not going to smoke it very quickly and the moisture content is right, just put it in one of these. Okay? Just drop it in there. Now, something to know, and I may be guilty, but if you see a lot of tobacco built up on this, then they won't seal as well and they can dry out. Anywho, that's what I do. I just drop them in one of these little small ball jars. That's all I do because this is the right moisture content. I don't need to dry it anymore. I don't need it certainly to be any more humid. So I just drop them in this and that's it. And that's how I store and smoke them. Now, something that I have more of it, like this Stokkebye's Navy Flake, once it gets to the right moisture level, which Stokkebye's usually is pretty perfect in my experience. This comes in bulk too, so it's not in a tin. So you have to put it in something or it'll dry out. And I buy this, 4, 6, whatever ounces at a time. And I just cram it in one of these slightly larger jars. That's it. Easy peasy. What am I going to do if I want to cellar a larger amount long term? Well, this is a blend that I make, and I just put it in these great big jars. I call it orange porridge, and it is some Cavendish and a little bit of Latakia and some Virginias and a bunch of different stuff in here. There's a little Perique in there. Anyway, this is kind of a kitchen sink blend. I'm not going to go into the recipe for it, but it's one that I enjoy, and I get most of the tobacco from my local tobacconist. And so, yeah, I have quite a few of these big jars, and these just sit in my cellar. Whenever I'm ready to break one out and smoke it after they've aged a few years, I'll put it in, something smaller like this. Mason jars are amazingly, perfectly terrific for storing tobacco. And that's it. So, brief recap. Unopened tins that have no visible damage, probably fine. Unopened round tins, I can pretty much assure you that they are definitely fine. Same thing with these bigger tins. And these will, if they're not opened, last forever. Now this, I opened it and I have not put it in a jar yet because it's a softer plug and it was really wet. So I'm letting it dry a little bit in the tin. And then eventually, if I don't smoke it before it gets down to the right moisture content, I will wind up putting it in a jar. But until then, it's fine in here. They can stay, most tobacco can stay reasonably well in the tin for weeks or even months, depending on how high the moisture is. And that's it. So that's what I do. And, you know, again, these are my opinions. And anyway, I've rambled on a lot, so I'm going to cut this off again here. And I want everybody to stay safe and happy smokes and take care of yourself and all that stuff.